Hey, welcome everyone to the Ox Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Big Book, aka Ox. Do me a favor before we get started. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, or hit that notification bell for me so it'll let you know anytime I drop any new content. On our way to 500 subscribers, got over 350. We're almost there. Let's press towards the mark, everybody. Let's keep it going. All right. So, today we're going to talk about the game of the week, the Ohio State Buckeyes at the Oregon Ducks. Now, look, this has a chance to be the best game we've seen so far this year. Ohio State travels well on the road, and they play well on the road. Oregon is great at home. So something is going to have to give. There's been a couple things that have been true this year that normally have been true throughout the years when it comes to these two institutions, these two powerhouses. One, Oregon normally has a powerful offense. This year they have the names, but they've been inconsistent at times this year. But the offense has a chance to be explosive on any given Saturday. Also, their defense this year has been stepping up. They're at the top statistically in a lot of areas. Ohio State, we all know, elite wide receivers, great running backs. And I'm not just talking about this year. I'm a Michigan fan. They have that almost every year. This year is no different. Elite wide receivers, great running backs, explosive offense, and normally a very good defense, which they have this year also. Statistically, their defense is at the top of almost every category too. Now, I understand that they haven't had the type of opponents that you would have liked for them to have to be able to measure where they're at. But guess what? They said the same thing about my team last year until they got to Penn State. And we took care of business until we got there and after. And Ohio State has been doing what they're supposed to do when you play teams that you're supposed to destroy. They've destroyed them. So, what we have, Ohio State, powerhouse, going to Oregon, up and coming powerhouse. What's going to happen? Let's take a look at some of the matchups in that game that will decide who walks away undefeated. Let's take a look at the quarterbacks. You have Dillon Gabriel and you have Will Howard. They're both seniors. But I believe in this matchup, the matchup goes to Oregon and Dillon Gabriel. He's almost at the top of every statistical record in college football when it comes to passing. He's been in every situation, played in a ton of big games. He will not be rattled by Ohio State coming into Eugene. On the other hand, Will Howard, we don't know. We have no idea. I have no idea. I am not a big Will Howard fan at all. They haven't played anybody. We're going to see what he's made of. In this matchup, I think Oregon has a big decisive advantage. I really do. They're both in the 70s as far as completion percentage this year. They're both in the 70s, and they both have over 1,200 yards passing. Dillon Gabriel, 1,449. Will Howard, 1,248. Touchdown to interception ratio, 11-3 for Dillon Gabriel, 12-3 for Will Howard. I just believe that Dillon will make more plays when the game is in those decisive moments. And if it comes to that, I trust him more than I do Will Howard. So my advantage in the quarterback department, that edge goes to Oregon. Let's talk about the running backs. You have Jordan James for Oregon, and you have Noah Winnington for Oregon. Ohio State, you have Quentin Judkins and Trayvon Henderson. To me, this is a no-brainer. I'm going to give you the stats. This is a no-brainer. To me, Ohio State, they have the same thing that Michigan had last year. I believe Michigan had the best running back room in the nation last year. I believe this year that goes to Ohio State. Yards, Ohio State in less carries has more yards, almost 100 more yards combined. Those two running backs combined and Oregon's two running backs combined. Oregon has 130 carries, 717 yards. Ohio State, 102 carries, 805 yards. Ohio State is almost averaging 8 yards per carry, while Oregon is at 5.5. Ohio State running backs, 9 TDs, Oregon 6. 100-yard games, Oregon with 3, Ohio State with 2. Now, I said I understand the stats. I see them. But to me, this is a no-brainer. Ohio State clearly has the edge in the running back department. As much as I think Dylan Gabriel has the edge over Will Howard, I believe Quentin Judkins and Trayvon Henderson, they have the edge over Jordan James and Noah Winnington. I do believe that this is going to play a big part in the game. I believe that Judkins and Trayvon Henderson are going to make big plays. And this is going to be an area where I believe Oregon will not be able to stop Ohio State in. Let's get to the pass catchers. Ohio State, throughout the years, they've had monsters at the wide receiver slot. Monsters. Once again, I know I'm a Michigan fan. They've had so many monsters that it makes me jealous. That's what they do. They recruit monsters at that position. As you can see, I'm really not talking about Oregon because Ohio State has monsters at that position. Emeka Egbuka, Jeremiah Smith, Carnell Tate, Brandon Ennis. Oregon, Tez Johnson, Terrence Ferguson, Evan Stewart, Trayshawn Holden. If you look at some of the stats, the targets, those 4 guys for Ohio State against the 4 guys from Oregon, 75 catches for the receivers at Ohio State, 93 catches for the Oregon receivers. They both have a catching percentage of the same thing, 78 for Oregon, 77 for Ohio State, both about the same yardage, 1193 for Ohio State, 1110 for Oregon. Yards per catch, 16 yards per catch for these Ohio State explosive wide receivers, 12 yards per catch for Oregon. And the touchdowns are almost even. Oregon wide receivers at 10, Ohio State wide receivers at 12. Edge, clearly Ohio State. They probably have the 2 best wide receivers on the field, in Jeremiah Smith and Emeka Egbuka. So right now, we go with quarterbacks, edge, Oregon. Wide receivers, edge, Ohio State. Running backs, edge, Ohio State. How about the defense? The defense, Ohio State has some years where they're elite, and then Ohio State has some years where they're good to very good. Oregon has some years to where their defense is good to very good, but this ain't the Pac-12. This is the Big Ten. This is the Big Ten. And we're going to see how Oregon is going to respond to the best Big Ten team this year. Those stats that Oregon normally has for defense, to me, they're inflated because of the competition that they played. They are inflated. Ohio State, rough, rugged, Big Ten, play down in the dirt. When their defense is elite, their defense is elite. This year, they've got some players. Their defense looks like it'll be one of those seasons where they'll be able to carry the offense in games if needed. As far as the team statistics on the defense, Oregon has 16 sacks. Ohio State has 7 sacks. Tackles for loss, Oregon 27. Ohio State 38 so far. They both have 4 interceptions. Oregon has forced 5 turnovers. Ohio State has forced 9 turnovers. Third down percentage, as far as the offense completing third downs on the defense, they both are around 31%, which is very good. But this is going to be an issue right here. This statistic right here, in the red zone, people are scoring on Oregon over 90% of the time, whether that's a field goal or whether that's a touchdown. Ohio State is at 60%. Okay? It's going to be important for Oregon to limit Ohio State to field goals, because you don't want to get in a track meet with Ohio State because they're consistent. I said at the beginning, Oregon's offense this year has been very inconsistent. So that is going to be something that you're going to need to look at. Oregon is going to have to make sure they keep Ohio State out of the end zone, because Ohio State will be going up and down the field. As good as Oregon's defense is supposed to be, they're going to go up and down the field. When Oregon has the ball, they're good. They're good, but it's going to be interesting to see if they can move the ball against this Ohio State defense. Plain and simple. Oregon likes to pass. They're not as high this year as they normally are. They're 14th, but they're 19th as far as the passing offense. Ohio State has the number 4 passing defense. Something's going to have to give. It's going to have to give, because if you can't pass the ball against Ohio State, it's going to be a long day, because they don't give up anything on the ground. Ohio State is 3rd in the nation in rushing defense. And rushing offense, Oregon's in the 60s. So you have an elite rushing defense against a middle of the road rushing offense. Doesn't look too good. Total offense, 25th. Oregon has the 25th ranked total offense. Now they're averaging 458 yards a game. Sounds like a lot. Once again, this is the beginning of the year. I'm sure if they were averaging 458, 460 yards after the next 5 or 6 weeks, that will probably bump them in close to the top 10. But the problem is Ohio State has the number 1 defense in the country right now. They're only giving up 200 yards a game right now. So something is going to have to give. Okay? Because if Ohio State has its way, it's going to be a long, frustrating, terrible day for Oregon. Oregon's going to have to score, and they're going to have to score early. You're going to have to score early. I already said you have the better quarterback. You're going to have to put that pressure on Will. You're going to have to put it on him to see what he can do in big pressure situations. Okay? He's got those Buckeyes on his helmet now. So, we'll see scoring offense. Oregon is averaging 35 points a game. That's great. 35 points a game, that is great. Now, normally they're probably in the 40s, but like I said, they've been inconsistent. Even at 35 points a game, you're going against the number one scoring defense. Ohio State gives up less than 7. Something's going to have to give. Something is going to have to give. Let's look at Oregon's defense when Ohio State has the ball. Ohio State has the ball. They have the 23rd ranked passing offense at 288 yards a game. Oregon's defense, 18th. 18th, 162 yards they normally give up. So I can see Ohio State still getting over 200 yards, which is important because it keeps them balanced. Because Ohio State also rushes for over 200 yards a game. They're 16th, 222 yards a game. Oregon, they're giving up over 100 yards on the ground. They're 24th. Now, Ohio State's total offense, they're averaging over 500 yards a game. They're in the top 10 in total offense. They're number 10. Oregon's defense, not a slouch. They're number 10. They give up 264 yards a game. I can see Ohio State getting about 350 to 400 yards this game. Oregon has to shut down the run and make Will Howard throw the ball. They have to put the pressure on Will to see how he will respond. I don't know what Ohio State has at quarterback right now. They have all the other components for a national championship team, but this is college. This is not the NFL. You need a quarterback who can make plays. And I don't know if Will can do that yet. I know Dylan Gabriel can. That's why it's so important to me for Oregon to go out there and score first. Go out there and score second. Try to put Ohio State in a double-digit hole. See what happens. See, can they stay with running the ball? Ryan Day, he says he likes to run the ball. He says it, but it seems like when hammer meets the nail, he goes back to what he likes to do, which is pass. And you won't physically have to take it from them. Ryan Day will take it from them. But this seems like this is a new year. They got Chip Kelly. The running game looks great. The passing game looks good, But like I said, they haven't played really anybody right now. But they're doing what they're supposed to do when they play those teams. They're destroying them. And Ohio State is averaging almost 50 points a game. They're averaging 46, which is 4th in the country. Oregon is giving up 17, which is 21st. Everything looks like it's slanted towards Ohio State. Everything. But there have been a lot of upsets this year. And it won't be an upset if Oregon does win the game. I wouldn't mind Oregon winning the game. Once again, I'm a Michigan fan. But if you ask me to pick and what I really think is going to happen, I think Ohio State is going to go into Eugene and win by double digits. And that's with them not having the better quarterback. They have too much. I believe they have too much. And I don't know how Ohio State fans are going to take it. I really don't care. But their team this year reminds me of Michigan's team last year, minus the quarterback. All those guys came back. They could have went to the NFL. They came back for a purpose. They came back for a reason. They came back to win rival games, and they came back to win a national championship. And then they went into the portal and replaced guys that did leave with guys who are just as good or maybe better. Ohio State is loaded. They are loaded. It's going to be a great game. If I had to give you a score, I would say Ohio State 34, Oregon 20. So we'll see how everything turns out. Hey, in a perfect world, I would love for Ohio State to win this game. And then at the very end, Michigan beat Ohio State, but then Ohio State win a national title. That way, you still can't say nothing to us. Hey. Things have happened this year. Vanderbilt beat Alabama. We don't look too good this year right now. We're struggling at the quarterback spot, and you know what? Our defense, too many missed assignments and bad tackling right now. But hopefully Michigan can get that figured out. But we're not going to talk about Michigan right now. So, that's the big game of the week. Ohio State at Oregon. In the comments, hey, man, let me know what you guys think. Give me you guys' final scores. And listen, like I said earlier, for me, please, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. If you enjoyed the video, share it, please. Until I see you again, you have a great day, you have a great night, and God bless.